Hey everyone, it's Heather Wells here. So glad you joined us. And I'm here with my friend Drew Thomas. Hey Drew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Good, good. We are having sort of brownout things going on with the internet. So I'm sorry for
Yeah.
this little delay today. But Drew is a performance coach. And the first time we talked, it's like we're cut from the same cloth. And you're so passionate about what you do as a performance coach. Will you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you do to kick us off here?
Sure. My name's Drew. I'm 34 and I'm a dad. So the son, his name's Ollie. He's 4 years old. And I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And I've always, liked working with people and started a gym in 2013. And now now I have that going on and this one-to-one performance program that I'm running that I'm having a ton of fun about and is kind of really incessantly passionate about helping people create breakthroughs. I
Yeah.
love it.
One of the things that just struck me is kind of the story behind how you got going with what you do. I mean, it just touched my heart. Will you share kind of your why with people, why this is your passion? Because your passion just oozes out of you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's why have a why for me, and it was going into that line of thinking had me just realize how awesome people are you know, and just people I'll talk to people like who they really are, not like who they're being at the time. So, say someone is struggling with weight loss or fitness, they're like, I'm no different, or a fit person is no different than they are, and they have it that they can't achieve certain things. And I just speak to who they really are, and then they start to behave that way, and it's just the coolest. It's just the coolest thing to see, and I can almost see it coming now because I've worked with so many people. Like they have no idea what they've gotten in. They know what they've gotten into, but as they inch along, like this their ceiling gets higher and higher and higher, and it's just the coolest thing. And people can do whatever they want once they get that, and to watch someone get that is just it's so like it energizes me. Like I love it.
Yeah, that is one of those things we're so on the same page. One of the things I say all the time, like a broken record, is
Mm-hmm.
to separate help kids. Of course, we have a lot of kids that we work with and the families. There's a lot of parents watching and teachers and so forth. But separate what kids do from who they are. But the same goes for adults. Their behavior is communication, and that it can be communicating self-doubt. In the case of kids, it can be communicating lack of connectivity with the communication in the brain or the body-brain connection. I know you are huge on the body-brain connection. So when you said that, I was like, you're singing my song, man.
That's
Yeah, I liked how you talked about differentiating performance from feelings.
Yeah, so that's a huge, and it sounds kind of almost it almost sounds cheesy in the beginning, but it kind of has to be, I think, where people they'll collapse a lot of things. So based off of how they feel, like example, a big one would be like motivation. Like I'm not motivated to do XYZ, and actually doing whatever that thing is that they want to do has nothing to really do with how they feel, but people will, I think a good one is the word button, and it's that they'll do, I want to work out today, but it's raining, like, and they can't work out because it's raining. But if they go, I want to work out today and it's raining, it's like, oh, well, then I'll just there's some moves to be made in there, and just separating how people feel because from what they want to do, and just kind of taking here's action and here's feelings. Like we have, I think one of my favorite sayings is like we have feelings, but we're not our feelings. So it's like you have an elbow, but you're not elbow.
Yes.
So like just creating that distinction for people, they're like, oh,
The simple, like the power of the but and the and. I mean, the conjunction.
yeah.
What's so ironic is last week I did a show talking about language development and how that impacts our cognitive growth, our social emotional growth. I mean, you're all about enhanced life, not only health, but they follow. They're all intertwined. We're all multifaceted. But even when someone has 3 words for the word mad, they start experiencing the emotions on the level they're actually feeling. But if I only have 1 word for that, I'm infuriated, I experience infuriation, even if I'm just irritated. I mean, the power of, because our language is to communicate our thoughts and our feelings. And when we have the right words for that, and those little tweaks you talked about, it can really start helping people live the best versions of themselves. Have you, because I know you have such a personal connection, has there been ever a time that you could share that what you were doing and what you were feeling were counterproductive to one another, or that you weren't living the fullest version of yourself that you bring into working with families?
Yes, that's love that question. So where to begin? Gosh, so there's different levels to it. So what I've noticed is, as you know, because I wasn't the gifted in the world of like fitness, or I wasn't genetically inclined, if some people say, you know, it was really just moving through. It was like I did it by like the exact same way that you read a book. You know, it's just like word by word by word by word by word, and eventually you read the whole book, you know, instead of like looking at this fitness thing. And I would constantly struggle with wanting to do certain things. Like I want to be the guy that wakes up at 5 a.m. and goes on a run. Like I'd see them out there working out, and like, how are they even doing that? It's early, you know? And so in the beginning, I was just all in my head. So, and when I was in my head, I was actually not doing anything. So, and I was just rolling around like how I felt and things like that. And I would go out and stay out later than I should, you know, throw a few back more than I should. And it would almost self-sabotage myself from this person that I am. I was just being this other kind of way. And it started in the beginning, and it's still something that I manage, you know, so meaning like, oh, I need to go to bed. I'll just watch, you know, I'll just do this, or I'll just do this and then I'll go to bed, but I want to wake up early. So I need to go to bed at a certain time, and I can self-sabotage a whole day if I like for staying up too late. So early on, it was almost like a fight with myself, to where I was doing these things that I knew I didn't want to do. Like I used to smoke cigarettes, and every time I would smoke cigarettes, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like I don't even like this, but I'm doing it. Or I'd go to like the Starbucks line. I'm like, I don't even want a coffee. Why am I here? You know? I was just aware. I would view my behaviors objectively. So when I learned how to remove myself of how I felt about something, you know, and you know, I didn't have this kind of language. Like now I know, like I'm not my feelings, or my achievements aren't dictated by my feelings, my emotions, or my circumstances. I can step out of that and look at it objectively, which is what I do with people. And I'm like, oh, it's a habit, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Bad thoughts are a habit.
Right. They are. You know, when I was writing the procrastination task avoidance chapter for my book, and of course I know that has a lot to do with health and fitness and life, just fulfilled life kinds of goals too. Sometimes it is a habit. And so sometimes there are a couple of researchers that kind of get bashed for saying, just do it. Like, well, thank you. I mean, if I could just do it. But there is something to that. That's not enough. But sometimes there is a paralysis. A lot of times that's caused by anxiety or other emotions or self-doubt. And if I already don't believe in myself, some people have fear of success. It is not only fear of failure. And so what if I step out and don't do it perfectly? Corey and I have talked before about someone's trying to eat more healthfully, and then they have a bag of potato chips. And it's so easy to say, well, I blew it. So today's Thursday. By tomorrow, it's already the weekend. So now I may as well wait till Monday. But it's taking steps in the right direction, and kind of that getting over that all or nothing thinking. A lot of our kids have that, but even adults can have that too. That's a lack of cognitive flexibility. But you've even seen how encouraging people to take just that one step. It's like paralysis begets paralysis, but action begets action too.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that reminds me of is I have weekly check-ins with people. So they'll send them a text, be like, hey, don't forget to weigh in, you know. And I never focus on their weight. Like they want to lose weight or put on muscle, whatever the person's goal is. It's really just the behavior, you know. And I'll tell them, I'm like, look, I don't even care. I'm not even going to look at it. I'm just looking to see if you do it. So once they just start doing it. I'm just getting them to take action and get out of their head. And as soon as they get out of their head and they start taking these little actions, now there's someone who is, they're on top of their numbers. So just by managing their, like plugging in something as basic as stand on a scale, take 10 seconds and plug it in an app, that's a metric. And then that behavior is going to make the small pivot. And then that small pivot snowballs. And that's really all. Like one of the things a trick that I do is just have them do that, measure their weight each week. And if they don't, they didn't fail or they're not bad, and I think failure too is, you touched on failure. I love it because like I fail a lot, I still do quite a bit. And, but I learned from it. So it's, I like going back to the language, like the beginning of a word, where like failure literally means in the definition in the dictionary, something like to not produce said task. Like that's it. That's the whole meaning of that word, but we like spin it up and it makes this like, it has this what's the word? I think someone makes it, it's ontological. Like we make it about ourselves. Yeah. I think I said that right. But
yeah,
we make it like me, who I am as a human being is failed.
That's right.
But that's not what that word means.
Right. But that is the whole difficulty separating what we do from who we are. And perfectionism there are a lot of people who are perfectionistic, and there are a lot of kids who are perfectionistic, and you ask the parent, go look at their bedroom and then tell me they're perfectionists. We can be perfectionistic in one way and not the other. But it is like one of the hashtags I've used before is done is better than perfect, or taking that one step. Really, that's a good conversation to have with your kids. It's obviously internally and kind of self-examination as well, if you're on here wanting to improve the quality of your life and thrive. But what is your kid's definition of success and failure? Success can be that one step. Failure, making sure they understand what failure is not. Thomas Edison was like, all of these ways I tried to create the light bulb, I was getting one step closer to the goal. And there are two researchers who have done a ton of studies about a growth mindset. And a lot of the literature is about kids and young adults, but this applies across the lifespan. The power of the word yet. Kids say, I can't do this yet. If we can just add that one word, when I do hard things, my brain grows. And the effort that goes in and the outcomes skyrocket. That has been shown over and over and over. So the power of yet. And when kids understand it, that's kind of a very abstract concept. But when you talk about your brain grows stronger, it's a muscle that grows stronger. That is like a tangible thing they can latch onto, and then they're willing to take those steps. But the same holds true for us. And I think what we're saying ties in so nicely with, I know you are very much about health and fitness, but that is not the end unto itself, right?
No, not at all. It's really a tool that I use for really the end game is to get people in their life again, not on the sidelines watching it go by, but get in there and mess it up a little bit, and then we'll learn, right? Because I tell people because we're talking about health, fitness, nutrition, weight check-ins, but really what matters to me is that their life explodes for whatever way they want to go. Like they can do this. If I can lose 100 pounds, if I start this company over here, it's like the exact same thing, like to as I did over here. So it's all connected, and really getting people to feel better about themselves, and they tap into like what they can actually accomplish. And I think I'm on that discovery with them, because I don't know, I don't know anything. They know everything I know. It's not about me telling them stuff to know. Like they know to work out and eat well and, right. Sleep, drink water. Like we know that. But to go on that journey with them, and then just to watch what they do with it is really the goal, the end goal. A lot of clients, and I sound like a crazy person when I tell them in the beginning on the first call, I'm like, we're going to do this. Like if you do these steps, like that I have laid out, the structure for fulfillment that I've created. And you get to the end of that, like you're going to do all kinds of other things. And they're like, okay, I'm just trying to get motivated to go on a run. I'm like, it's cool. Like I'll cheer you on while you drink a glass of water today. That's fine. And, but it's so cool to see them do that. And that's really what, gets me out of bed,
Yeah. Yeah, the knowing's not enough. We talked about the why earlier. You have personal reasons that this is your calling. I have personal reasons why my calling is what it is. But we talk a lot about intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. And this is really key, whether you're talking about health and fitness goals, you're talking about goals for growth and development of your kids, what your life fulfillment is going to be. But extrinsic goals are, I have to do this assignment so I don't get a bad grade, so I don't get in trouble with the teacher, so that I will get to go out with my friends this weekend. It's like based solely on external rewards or punishment, what I'm trying to avoid or gain. That is, but intrinsic motivation is I am doing this because it aligns with my mission, my purpose. I want to develop autonomy and competence. And if we step in and rescue, you are empowering people to bring that out in themselves. But autonomy, purpose, connection, which they get with the way you do the private coaching, that is intrinsic. I'm doing this because it helps me meet what matters most to me in my life. I'm doing this because it is intensely interesting or novel to me. A lot of kids are, looks like if they want to do something, they'll do it. If they don't care, they won't. And it just looks like defiance if they are not following through on things. But really, that is how our brains are wired, is what matters to me. So even in, how do you kind of work through that with, of course, I know you have conversations about what their motivations are. Yes. Have you seen kind of a progression if they start out thinking it's one thing, and then as the conversations deepen and they're kind of shifting their mindset, the reasons become more compelling?
Yeah. So I think what I'll do is because I'll talk to them in a certain sense and kind of philosophically sometimes, but also because the philosophy will control their thought. Their thoughts are going to control how they feel. How they feel is going to control their lifestyle, and their lifestyle makes their life. So it's when I'm philosophically talking to someone, I'm really like, I'm on the front end of that, because I don't want to change their thought. So that'll change how they feel. And ultimately, getting down, because everyone wants to lean out a little bit. Like everybody, even like say poof, you have your dream body, you would still, most people I did was like, oh, I want this to happen now. So you hit this goal, and then now it's never, you're never quite there. And it feels the same way as it felt, when you first started. Like, oh, I want my physique to do this now. And like, oh, I don't like this. It's the same stuff. So it's helping people with their philosophy can change the whole thing. And what it really looks like is having people just get connected to their word. Like, what did you say, kind of thing? Because then if they say words and then they can accomplish what they said, they realize like, oh, that's how I create my whole life. That's how I create everything that I want. So when they speak and they do, and they get, that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah. I talk with parents about using kind of Socratic questioning with their kids, and like, why are you upset? And we don't accept, I don't know. It's okay to say, I think it's because, or it could be, why didn't you do this assignment? Whatever the topic is. And well, I think it's because, Jason did this at school today. Well, why do you think that upset you? Well, I think it's because I thought we were friends. Well, why did you think you were friends then, and why do you think you're not now? Well, because if you really care about somebody, when you do that 5 layers deep, now you're getting to the real deal. And so, but what you're doing also, instead of, notice that, like, I'm not having the parents, just like you don't with your clients, they're not providing the answers. They are asking questions that kind of result in this revelation that leads us to realize, hey, I can figure things out on my own. And that's empowering. And the more empowered I feel, guess what? The more motivated I am. The more motivated I am, the more hope I have. Because hope, y'all, if you go put into YouTube, not right now, but at some point, I hope you'll stick with us right now, but Dr. Shane Lopez, and just put in hope, and there will be some TED Talks that come up. And he was a leading researcher for Gallup for years before his untimely death, but one of the best speakers I have ever heard. And he talked about how he grew up thinking that the past absolutely dictated his future, because a score he made on a test in 4th grade impacted his placement in 8th grade. What happened with his brother, it was just like a lifetime of, why does nobody ask me where I see myself in the future, what I want in the future? And one of the things he recommended for kids is downloading an app on your phone, taking a picture of them and aging it several years, because kids, and I think all of us to some extent, maybe, or a lot of us, I do, sometimes treat our future selves like a stranger. But when you intentionally start thinking about your future self, then all of a sudden you start making decisions for that person, the way you would for a dear friend. And so really having conversations, and I know that's hard, because some of y'all are like, are you kidding me? I'm just trying to get through today, and I'm not looking forward to homework time. But if you will spend that time and have meaningful conversations about the future, kids will start behaving to take care of that person who's their dear friend. But hope is not just optimism or wishing. It is, I do have the optimism to get from, things are going to be great. The future is going to be as good as or better than the present. I have the agency, the competencies to get from point A to point B, and I have pathways thinking, here's a roadblock. Guess what? I can figure out multiple paths around that setback. And
yeah, there's, and it seems, and that goes to kind of, it all ties together, like to like failure, like go, like find the roadblock, like you're saying, and figure it out, and then you keep moving instead of kind of, like what you're saying earlier, like go back to, not caring. Well, pretending like not caring, right?
Right. Yeah. That's a huge thing, is a lot of people feign apathy, because if I care and I fail, that's more painful. And now I'm going to be rejected as a human being because I failed. Therefore I am a failure. Not, oops, I'm going to learn from this. It's really good to talk to people and parents out there, talk to your kids about the different types of mistakes. I mean, there are deliberate, kids are ornery. There's that kind of, is that really a mistake? Mistakes are, I really tried and I fell short of what I intended to do. What did you learn? How much closer are you? And that is so important. When they realize, we celebrate mistakes as long as you were trying, as long as you learned from it, as long as you grew from it, and your brain got stronger in the process. You can do that with health, fitness goals, academic goals. You can do that with character development. Talk about perseverance. Get books from freespirit.com or New Harbinger. Those are fantastic books to get kids into a growth mindset, and knowing that help them feel accepted at home, praise them for their process, show, objective observations. Why did you choose to talk or do your science project on this topic? That's really interesting. Not, I'm so proud of you because you got a 98. I'm so proud of you because you were the MVP of the baseball team. Then they feel that they have to achieve X, Y, Z in order to earn your love and approval, rather than, I am so proud of how you stuck with it, even though it was hard. That shows perseverance.
Love that. Yeah, they can do anything with that.
Yeah.
And getting people to just start moving, or just begin. Because it's like you got to begin, and you got to begin every day. So it's like you'll get to help people with their fitness, and like I was motivated, and as soon as they go do something, the motivation comes after movement. A lot of people seem to want to wait for this like emotional trigger. So I want to feel a certain way, so then I go do. It's, there's really fit people will be like, usually I don't want to go work out. I just do, like showering. Like sometimes you're tired and you're like, I'm not like super pumped to go and take a shower, maybe sometimes, but you just do it because it's who you are, you know?
Yeah.
It's not dirty.
No, I confess, especially with long hair, I'm like, I have to tell myself I get to go take a shower and it's going to be relaxing once I get in there. Even though I'm grieving on this project right now. But yeah, even the have to versus I get to, I choose to, more of that language thing that you're talking about. I love that. How do you're a dad, you're an awesome dad. Do you see any of these principles and like how you're using them with your son? So kind of speaking parent to parent here.
I do. And it's more of the environment he's in. And for him, it's not again, I won't, coach dad, it's the father figure type thing going on. So it's similar, but I want him to make choice and understand the impacts of his choices. So if he chooses, like he'll get in trouble. Like if he chooses to not listen, something gets put away for the day, or if he chooses to listen, then all's good. So he can start making the choices and he can see the movement in there. And then I'll kind of talk to him about what you're talking about, the impacts. Like he's really into red popsicles right now. So it's like, if he's good, he'll get them. But it's really similar. So rather than just, being a drill sergeant and then just telling him what to do because I said so, too bad, so sad kind of thing, which a lot of like trainers will do. And it just doesn't work. Or they'll do what you want. And there's this resentment that they don't figure out that they have until they're 40,
Right. Now, that was one of the things I loved hearing, like how you work with your clients. And so they might initially be afraid, like, oh, she's going to be mad at me. I'm going to be in trouble because I didn't do X, Y, Z. But instead, it's just about the encouragement and digging deeper. Our bodies and our brains, they are so intimately intertwined. I mean, Harvard Medical School said our brain and our gut should be considered one system. What we eat impacts our moods. It fuels our bodies. I mean, there are so many kids and adults who have no allergies to foods, but they eat certain things and they feel lethargic or foggy headed or less motivated or a little grumpy, that kind of thing, because my brain tells my body how to break that down, and then I don't get the right messages to my brain. So movement improves mood. All kinds of attention and memory and energy, getting the whole body oxygenated. So it really makes sense to me how movement and nutrition are kind of a window into just opening up, a whole new life.
Yeah. And it was something so what happened with myself with fitness was where this all kind of started putting it together. I used to suffer from severe depression and severe anxiety, and I didn't know anything about it. So I like to understand things. I've always been, since I was little, wanting to understand things and and why they work. Not so much like how they work, but like mechanically, but why things work. So I'm like, why do I this is bananas. Like this feels terrible. Like what is this? And the only thing I could figure out to do is like, okay, maybe go work out. So I started doing workouts, and then for a moment I felt like myself, and then it would come back on for me, like kind of insidiously creep into my head, and then I'm back into this, adrenaline response where I'm just driving and there's a bear in the back seat, but there's, it's just me. And so I got to the bottom of that, and that's kind of what we talked about before with I changed my philosophy and my thought, and it changed how I feel, and just really understood what it was. And putting it all together, like just going to go do fitness helped me progress through to start understanding all of that stuff and have it be a non-issue. And kind of how that began for me.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the reasons you've been in those shoes, and I mean, that's one of the things that makes you so great at what you do. So, and I know Corey is going to put up, I guess he already put up your handle on Instagram, as well as the ways that they can just click on a link that he's going to share to message. If you want if you want to talk with Drew and Maya Angelou, I posted this yesterday. She's like, my goal in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. And I feel that that's what you're all about. And, and yeah, kind of mind, body, spirit connection, and not from a performance standpoint, but just deeply enriched, healthful, happy life. And there's the link there. And I want to thank you so much for your sharing your time and your knowledge and your story with us today, Drew. And need to have you back sometime and kind of talk about some other things too.
For sure. Thank you for having me. This is amazing.
And thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you have a great day. And I will be back Friday at 3:30 with Dr. Brian Aspie, and then next Tuesday at 3:30 again. Have a great